everybody, it's Sonnie coming at you from Fukuoka, Japan. And today I wanted to talk to you about something a little bit different, and that is Joe and my relationship.
Sorry, what?
Yep. Joe didn't know that I was making this video until right now, but I talked to my patrons on Patreon and they really wanted to see something about us and how we got started, because when I started my YouTube channel, we were already married and really well settled into our relationship. So if you like this video, definitely let me know. And right now I'm only going to be talking about how we started out, but I'm not going to touch into like the engagement story or our wedding or anything like that. So if you like this and you want to see those, definitely let me know. So normally you would think that I would start at the very beginning of like us, the first day that we met and how we met. But the really weird thing is that after we met and we became friends on Facebook, we noticed that we had a ton of friends in common. And then we noticed this kind of crazy connection between our lives where we just kind of always were parallel to each other, and then suddenly we met. And it really feels like we could have met at so many different points in our lives, but we didn't until it was the exact right point. And I'm not someone that believes in fate or that there's a big plan for us all or anything like that, but I could understand if somebody out there felt that way about us. So I wanted to start at the very beginning when Joe and I were born and raised in New Jersey. Yes, Joe and I were both born and raised in New Jersey. I was from Middlesex County, which is pretty central, and Joe is from around the Trenton area. So when we started dating, we discovered that our families were maybe a little over half an hour away from one another. And for some reason, both of us chose this really small college for the same major in Connecticut. Now, our entire college was maybe around 3,000 people. And maybe that makes sense because we were both studying the same subject, and that school was really well known for their crime scene investigation and forensics, especially because of Dr. Henry Lee, who has his name connected with that college. At college, Joe is 1 year older than me, so he was 1 year ahead of me. And I kind of accidentally, because we didn't meet each other in college, followed him from dorm to dorm. Joe's freshman year, he was in this one really old dorm, and he and I were in the exact same suite. I don't think we were in the same bedroom, but we were in the same suite his freshman year, and then I moved in to the same one. It switches from boys to girls every year. And then when I was in that freshman dorm, Joe was in this newer, nice dorm his sophomore year, and that's the dorm that I ended up moving to my sophomore year. And when he was a junior, he moved into this off-campus, but still technically campus housing. It's about a 10-minute walk from the main campus where all the rest of the dorms were. And once again, we had never met. We didn't have any classes together. Apparently, we had friends who knew each other because it was a really small campus. But his senior year, he stayed in that same building, which was comprised of 4 separate buildings, and each building had 3 or 4 floors. And I just so happened to move in during my junior year, his senior year, to the apartment right next door to him. We were in the same building, we were in the same dorm, we were in the same floor, and we were literally across the hallway from each other. And he actually remembers my roommate. After college, I tried going back home for a little bit, and I thought it was a good idea to live at home, save some money, and I lasted about 9 months doing that. It's really difficult to go back home after having your independence. So I lasted 9 months, And then I ended up moving back to that town because I had made friends with a lot of the locals there, and and some of them were looking for a roommate, and I was looking to get out of my mom's place. So that's when I got my job at Verizon Wireless, because I needed a big girl job to get actual health insurance, because I hadn't had health insurance for years, and I wanted to be fully independent. So Verizon Wireless was my first job with like a 401k and all that fancy stuff, and I was so excited about it. And I started working at this Verizon Wireless store doing tech support and customer service, and I was there for about 3 months. And suddenly there was this new guy in the back of the store. Usually when you're first starting out, you start out in the back of the store because the front of the store will take the majority of the people, and then the back of the store will call people over to them. So there's a little more control, and if you're training, you don't want to be bombarded with all of these people coming at you all the time. So I saw this new guy in the back of the store, and me, being me, decided to go over to him with this big smile on my face and be like, "Hi, my name's Sonnie. You're new here. Well, if you need any help with anything, I can definitely help you. I know that the software is a little difficult and a lot of the rules and everything, like it's a lot to learn, so if you need any help, just let me know." And he like didn't smile, not once, I'm pretty sure. And, you know, we shook hands and everything, but he seemed like a very like quiet, kind of shy guy. It turned out that he had been working at that Verizon Wireless for a while and was only gone when I first started because he was in the military and was away doing officer school, officer training. And I didn't know that. And I learned that later and felt like just such an ass. And yes, that guy was Joe. It had turned out that Joe actually lived with one of the guys at work that I was really close to and had become good friends with. And it had also turned out that Joe had seen a picture of me. He started during a weekend when I was off or something like that, and we were having a sales contest. So all of our pictures were in the back along with like different numbers and things. And apparently he asked Matt, who was the roommate that he was living with, and my friend, a little bit about me because he thought I was cute. We slowly got to know one another as we worked together. I had never actually dated somebody that I had worked with before. I'm not saying that it was the smartest thing in the world, and it's something I thought about for a while actually before we did start dating. We were working together, I want to say about a month, and we started having our lunch breaks together and having these really great conversations. The first time that he was on his lunch break and he was in the back break room, I went back there to start mine, which meant that he was supposed to be finishing his. And I sat down and I started eating and we were talking, and I was like, "Aren't you finished with your break? Aren't you supposed to be going back there?" And he was like, "Yeah, you know." And he ended up getting written up because he was so late to getting back to work because we were just enjoying each other's company and sitting and talking. And yeah, he got in trouble because of me. Actually, no, it's because of him. He chose. And then one day I was in the back room. I was mailing back returns to corporate and processing mail and different things, and a couple of my friends were back there and we were chatting, and Joe came into the back, and I don't remember if he handed me something or he needed to get something from inventory or something like that. But we had a brief dialogue, and when he left, I was sitting in an office chair like this. Oh yeah, I'm a Hufflepuff today. I'm always wearing pajama pants, by the way. And I'm at like my computer, my station, and he left. My two friends are here, and I was just like, oh, he's so cute. I think he's cute. Why do I think he's cute? We work together, like, I have a crush on him, like what am I gonna do? And that was my first time telling people at work that I had a crush on Joe. And this girl, Abby, was like, "You need to stay away from that. That is such a bad idea. Like, don't do anything with that." And the other girl, I found out, kind of also had a thing for Joe, so she wasn't that gung-ho about it, but she was a little bit of a gossip, so she was very excited. I took that into consideration, that we did work together, but we worked at a big corporation with a lot of different stores, and if it went really far south, which I didn't think it would because both of us are very mature, then I could just transfer to a different store, or he could transfer to a different store, or whatever, you know? So it was Christmas Eve, and because we worked in retail in America, we were required to work on Christmas Eve. But the holidays at Verizon were kind of nice because we would all create something and have like a potluck in the break room. We did Secret Santa and a bunch of stuff like that. And Christmas Eve is only a half day. So it was kind of really relaxed, like not many customers were coming in, and most people were in the back in the break room, and then if we were hanging out out front, we could be on our phones or whatever because there was barely anybody in the store. And I, because of my heart condition, was required to have a chair. On this particular day, there was like this extra large chair for this slightly overweight gentleman that needed a larger chair. And I was sitting on it, and Joe came over and told me to scooch over so he can share the seat with me. And it was the first time that I was like, is he flirting? Or is he just kind of like a, you know, physical guy? You know, like some people are cuddlers and some people are really friendly and stuff. So that was the first time that I was like, ooh, maybe something could happen here. You know, maybe he has a little thing for me too. That day we exchanged Facebook information, I think. And he showed me this website. It was like called Find Santa or Santa Tracker or something like that. I was on it that night. I drove to New Jersey that night to be home with my family, and I was thinking about him, and it was really late, and I went on Santa Tracker, and it had said that Santa had already been to New Jersey, and I was like, that's not true. I'm here. I know that he hasn't been to my house yet. So I just sent Joe a message and said, you know, hey, your Santa Tracker is BS. And we started chatting, and then I don't know why, but I was like, oh, this would be a lot easier if you had my phone number. So we exchanged numbers, and then we were text messaging instead of chatting on Facebook. When I got back, we were supposed to go on our first date. Like, it was our first hangout outside of work. We were working together again, and we made plans to go to a bar that evening. Right before our first hangout, we don't consider it a date, like date. It wasn't just the two of us, it was with friends and stuff. But right before, he messaged me, and he was like, oh, you know, I'm helping a friend move, maybe I can't go. And it turned out he was really nervous. And I want to preface this by saying that this was so long ago. This was like 8 years ago that I replied the way that I replied, and I have matured and grown up since then, and I probably wouldn't say the same thing now. But I sensed that he was kind of chickening out on me, and I replied back like, well, where is your friend? And he was like, Milford. And I'm like, well, that's the place that we're going to the bar. Like, when you're finished, just come to the bar. And he tried making another excuse, and I replied, don't be a once again, this was a very long time ago, and I don't think I'd say that again, but it motivated him. So he came to the bar, and he met with me, and he bought me and my friend beer, and we ended up having a great time. We went to a couple bars and didn't get drunk or anything like that, but just had a few drinks, and we ended up talking. And then he came over to my apartment, and we were up talking until I think like 4 or 5 in the morning, and Joe had work the next day, and so he crashed at my place. No, we did not. I'm just saying. If we did, it's not a big deal, but I'm just saying we didn't. But we did have our first kiss that night, and it was the start of something, you know, really wonderful and great. And yeah. So that is how Joe and I started our relationship, meeting at work and me sending an inappropriate text message. And yeah, so we ended up dating in secret for a while, and that got old really fast. Because it was really exciting at first, but then we just wanted to be able to be open. After he slept over that night, we hung out every single day since, until he had to go in the military again. We were just completely inseparable. I applied to a sales position, that way I could make a little bit more money, and I was transferred to another store, and then Joe and I could be open about everything. And I think it was 3 days after we started hanging out outside of work that we officially became boyfriend and girlfriend. You know, Joe said he wanted me to be his girlfriend, and yeah, we moved really fast, to be totally honest. It felt so easy and natural, and from the very start, it was just great. If you guys have any questions, if you want to hear more about, like I said, engagement, our marriage, or not our marriage, you've seen a lot of our marriage, our wedding, definitely let me know, comment below, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it, or at least telling it. I don't know if you can tell by the constant smile on my face whenever I talk about Joe or us. But thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, welcome, and please consider subscribing if you haven't already. A huge thank you for my patrons on Patreon for suggesting and supporting this video, as well as all of your support throughout all time, basically. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time. Bye!
So my question for you is...
No. Actually, when we ended up telling the girl, Abby, that we were together, she tried to take like full credit for it. She was like, that was all me. And I was like, Abby, you literally told me not to date him and that it was a really bad idea. And she was like, but I knew you were gonna do it anyway. I'm like, what? It was ridiculous.